Welcome to War Bios, the podcast where we delve into the lives of history's most fascinating military leaders. Today, we're going to explore the remarkable life of Germanicus, a Roman general whose campaigns and character have left an indelible mark on the annals of warfare. Born into a world of imperial intrigue and martial glory, Germanicus would grow up to become one of Rome's most beloved and respected commanders, known for his bravery, strategic brilliance, and unwavering dedication to his troops. As we step back in time, we find ourselves in the midst of a transformative era in Roman history. The old Republican order was giving way to the new imperial system under Augustus Caesar, who had risen to power after decades of civil war. The year was 15 BC, and Rome was buzzing with activity as the city-state expanded its borders and consolidated its power. It was against this backdrop that Germanicus was born on May 24th, in a world where military prowess and strategic thinking were highly valued. Germanicus's birth took place in a household filled with stories of conquest and adventure. His father, Nero Claudius Drusus, was a renowned military leader who had campaigned extensively in Germany and Gaul, earning the admiration of his peers and the respect of his enemies. The young Germanicus would have listened with wide eyes as veteran soldiers regaled him with tales of battle and bravery on the frontiers of the empire. These early experiences would instill in him a deep sense of duty, honor, and martial valor, laying the foundation for his future greatness. Growing up in the imperial household, Germanicus was surrounded by the trappings of power and the weight of expectation. His family's legacy was one of military excellence, and he was destined to follow in his father's footsteps. The loss of his father, Drusus, in 9 BC, when Germanicus was just 6 years old, would have had a profound impact on his young life. Drusus's death occurred while he was on campaign in Germany, and it's said that the news of his passing sent shockwaves throughout the Roman Empire. The event would have left an indelible mark on Germanicus, instilling in him a sense of responsibility to carry on his father's legacy and to make a name for himself as a great military leader. As he grew older, Germanicus became increasingly fascinated with the stories of his father's campaigns and the world beyond the borders of Rome. He would have spent hours listening to veterans, studying maps, and poring over accounts of battles fought and won on the frontiers of the empire. The seeds of his future greatness were being sown in these early years, as he developed a deep understanding of the complexities of warfare, the importance of strategic thinking, and the value of inspiring loyalty and devotion in his troops. Germanicus's education was tailored to prepare him for a life of leadership and military service. He was tutored in the classical arts of rhetoric, philosophy, and literature, as well as the more practical skills of warfare, such as tactics, horsemanship, and sword fighting. His early years would have been spent studying the works of great Roman generals like Julius Caesar and Pompey, analyzing their campaigns and learning from their successes and failures. The historical context of Germanicus's early years was marked by significant events that would shape his character and future path. The Roman Empire was expanding rapidly, with Augustus Caesar consolidating power and establishing a new order after decades of civil war. The borders of the empire were being pushed outward as Roman legions campaigned in Germany, Gaul, and Britain. It was an era of great change and upheaval, and Germanicus would grow up to play a significant role in shaping the course of Roman history. Rather, it was the product of a complex interplay between his family, education, and the historical context in which he lived. The experiences and influences of his childhood would shape him into a brilliant military leader, one who would go on to inspire loyalty, devotion, and admiration in his troops and leave an enduring legacy that would be remembered for centuries to come. The threads of fate were already beginning to weave together, setting Germanicus on a path that would lead him to greatness. His early life was marked by a sense of purpose and destiny as he navigated the complexities of growing up in the imperial household. The weight of expectation was palpable, but Germanicus was determined to forge his own path and make a name for himself as a great military leader. As Germanicus entered adulthood, the rugged landscape of Illyricum, a region in the Western Balkans, became his proving ground. In 11 AD, he accompanied his adoptive father Tiberius on a mission to quell the simmering unrest in this volatile territory. The experience would prove invaluable, as Germanicus gained first-hand knowledge of the complexities of commanding large-scale military operations and navigating the treacherous terrain of the region. He witnessed the brutal realities of war, where the clash of steel on steel, the scent of blood and sweat, and the cries of the fallen created an indelible impression on his young mind. The campaign in Illyricum was a baptism by fire for Germanicus, who quickly demonstrated his mettle as a skilled and fearless leader. He learned to read the lay of the land, to anticipate the enemy's movements, and to adapt his tactics to the ever-changing circumstances of the battlefield. The rugged terrain, with its dense forests, steep mountains, and winding rivers, taught him the importance of flexibility and creativity in warfare. As he rode alongside Tiberius, Germanicus absorbed the wisdom of his adoptive father, who had spent years honing his craft on the battlefields of Europe. In 12 AD, Germanicus was appointed as the quaestor of the Roman province of Asia, a position that would test his administrative skills and diplomatic acumen. He demonstrated exceptional aptitude in this role, navigating the complex web of alliances and rivalries between the local leaders and maintaining stability in the region through a series of successful diplomatic missions. Germanicus's tenure in Asia was marked by a deep understanding of the local culture, which he used to foster goodwill and cooperation between the Roman authorities and the native populations. One of the most significant events of Germanicus's early career occurred in 14 AD, when he was appointed as the commander of the Roman legions in Germania. This appointment marked a major turning point in his life, as he would go on to spend several years campaigning in the region, earning the respect and admiration of his troops, and forging a reputation as a brilliant and fearless military leader. The legacy of his father, Drusus, who had fallen in battle in Germania, weighed heavily on Germanicus's shoulders, and he was determined to restore Roman honor and prestige in the region. During his time in Germania, Germanicus launched a series of bold campaigns against the native tribes, including the Chatti, the Marsi, and the Cheruscan leader, Arminius. The latter, a cunning and elusive foe, would become Germanicus's arch-nemesis, pushing him to the limits of his strategic genius and tactical prowess. The battles fought in Germania were brutal and intense, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Germanicus, however, remained undaunted, driven by a fierce determination to emerge victorious and to bring glory to Rome. The campaign of 16 AD was particularly noteworthy, as Germanicus faced off against Arminius in a series of bloody and decisive battles. The Roman historian Tacitus provides a vivid account of the conflicts, describing Germanicus's exceptional bravery and tactical genius as he outmaneuvered Arminius and his forces, ultimately emerging victorious despite being outnumbered and outmaneuvered at times. As the campaign drew to a close, Germanicus returned to Rome, where he was greeted as a hero. His victories in Germania had earned him widespread acclaim, and he was hailed by the people as a great military leader. The Senate, too, recognized his achievements, awarding him a triumph which he celebrated with great pomp and ceremony. The triumph of Germanicus marked a major milestone in his career, as he solidified his position as one of the leading figures in Roman politics and military affairs. The relationship between Germanicus and Tiberius, however, remained complex and nuanced. While Tiberius had come to respect Germanicus's military prowess, he grew increasingly wary of his adopted son's rising star. The emperor's own insecurities and fears of being overshadowed by Germanicus created tension between the two men, which would eventually boil over into a deeper conflict. As Germanicus's star continued to rise, he found himself increasingly at odds with Tiberius, who grew more paranoid and isolated by the day. The emperor's suspicions had been simmering for some time, fueled by whispers of Germanicus's popularity among the troops and his own perceived slights against the young general. Despite this, Germanicus remained a beloved figure in Rome, and his military victories had earned him a reputation as one of the greatest generals of his time. His name was on everyone's lips, from the bustling streets of Rome to the distant provinces, where his campaigns were whispered about in awe. In 18 AD, he was appointed as the commander of the Roman forces in the East, a region teeming with challenges and opportunities. The Parthian Empire, with its storied history and formidable warriors, loomed large on the horizon, posing a significant threat to Rome's interests in the region. Germanicus, undaunted by the prospect of facing this ancient foe, set out to assert Roman dominance and secure the empire's borders. His time in the East was marked by a series of successful campaigns against the Parthian Empire, during which he demonstrated his characteristic bravery and strategic genius. He navigated the treacherous landscape with ease, using his knowledge of the terrain to outmaneuver his enemies at every turn. The sound of clashing steel, the scent of sweat and blood, and the cries of the wounded filled the air as Germanicus led his troops into battle, his presence inspiring confidence and courage in those around him. One notable example of his tactical brilliance was the Battle of Tigranocerta, where he outflanked the Parthian army and secured a decisive victory. The Parthians, known for their lightning-fast cavalry and deadly archers, were no match for Germanicus's clever tactics and the discipline of his troops. As the Roman legions emerged victorious, the people of the region began to see Germanicus as a liberator, a champion of justice and order in a land long plagued by conflict. Germanicus also worked tirelessly to strengthen Rome's alliances with the local kingdoms and to promote trade and diplomacy throughout the region. He understood that military might was only one aspect of Roman power, and that the empire's true strength lay in its ability to build lasting relationships with its neighbors. Through a combination of charm, intelligence, and strategic thinking, he won over many of the regional leaders, securing their loyalty and cooperation. However, his efforts were ultimately cut short when he fell ill and died in 19 AD, at the age of 33. The circumstances of Germanicus's death are still a matter of debate among historians, with some attributing it to natural causes and others suggesting that he may have been poisoned by Tiberius or one of his agents. Regardless of the cause, Germanicus's death was a devastating blow to Rome, and he was deeply mourned by the people and the army. As the Roman historian Tacitus so eloquently put it, the death of Germanicus was a calamity that shook the empire to its foundations, and his memory would be cherished for generations to come as a symbol of courage, honor, and wisdom. The news of his passing sent shockwaves throughout the empire, with many regarding it as a personal tragedy. The Roman people, who had grown to adore Germanicus, felt as though they had lost a member of their own family. In the years that followed, Germanicus's reputation only continued to grow, and he was remembered as one of the greatest heroes of the Roman Empire. His name became synonymous with bravery, loyalty, and wisdom, and he was celebrated in literature, art, and architecture throughout the ancient world. The great Roman poet Statius wrote an epic poem in his honor, while artists and sculptors strove to capture his likeness in marble and bronze. Today, Germanicus is still studied by historians and military strategists around the world, and his campaigns remain a model for effective leadership and tactical genius. His story serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of leadership, loyalty, and service, and his memory continues to inspire us today. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.